Welcome, welcome, welcome to the One Divine Podcast, Episode 2, Origin Story. I am broadcasting this live today, but it will go out to podcast platforms galore to listen to. I am currently swinging in my hands this evil eye protector glass one that is beautiful that popped out of my stuff as I was moving locations this week and guided to just do a little swingy dingy. I'm divinely protected, baby. Called in all of my teams. I'm going to invite you again, as I will every time that we gather, no matter what time the gathering is happening. We are all together. And I just ask you to drop in with me. And let's create a circle and a connection and group alchemy and a container for the messages that want to come through, the frequencies that want to come through, any connections, any confirmations. I have prayed over this space. I've got a candle lit. You might want to light a candle if you want to do that. Drop in for a little story and whatever else wants to come through. I'm just going to take a couple deep breaths. You can take them with me or not. It is free will choice, of course, if you're still here. But it's for me. A lot going on. A lot is going on right now. I'm going to adjust this. I've got fairy falls behind me. That are the falls that were behind me in the picture on the cover of this podcast episode. And I'm going to tell this story. I sort of began it in the last episode. It began in Santa Fe, the call to death and rebirth. For one was knocking at the door, and I was being instructed to let her in. And there's a lot of layers to that cake, as I say. Sometimes I might keep my eyes closed. It doesn't matter on podcasts because this is audio anyway. But sometimes I receive better that way, or just taking out one of our senses, right? If you're ever in overwhelm, begin by just closing your eyes. It's good to just take out one of the senses to shut down overstimulation. And we can get overstimulated a lot in this world. And I live in a very beautiful place now. I'm broadcasting to you live at this time from Mount Shasta, California. Sacred ground, sacred mountain, and I have moved locations. The last location I will be moving until I move into the mothership HQ. I ain't going to talk a lot about that yet. Very exciting news, but that's why I'm here. And it's part of this one divine story. And I'm going to attempt to share that with you today. I wanted to do a little bit of a recap of the last week of what has happened and what is happening. And this is a new exploration for me. As I said in the first episode, this is new for me, of coming out of my comfort zone of a smaller circle. You know, many of us have been on this hero's journey, on this awakening journey, and a lot of that journey begins alone with our guides, with our higher self, maybe a couple others. And then, as I've been shown along this ascension timeline, right, we click in more pieces, more people, more tribe, more family. And we are now clicking in. We've been over the last few years widening, adding on, which creates an energetic uplifting as we click each circuit together on the motherboard, sovereign but united. And many of us spent many years downloading instructions, being trained, being guided, being shown, observing, going through our shadow work, going through our initiations, through stripping away everything that was not us, who we are, our true, authentic versions of ourselves and who we came here to be for this time. For this time is the time that all of our ancestors have been waiting for and who are with us now. It is time for all of us to strip all of that away and come full face, unapologetically with who we are and what we are and what we're doing here, and to broadcast our signals authentically so that those who need to see us, those who need to connect with us, those who have information for us, or I have information for you, are getting it. I always go by the principle of just one. If there's just one of you out there who needs to hear what I have to say today, either to let you know you're not alone or crazy for thinking the things you're thinking and getting the things you're getting, or to give you some peace in knowing where you're going, or just to give you some company today. One person, that's all I care. And I posted the other day a little reel that I made from a meme I had seen out there, and I couldn't find it again, so I made my own. And it was fuck the likes, deliver the message. And yes, there may be some colorful language on this podcast. If that offends you, I'm pre-qualifying my audience. Because if that's too much for you, then I'm probably not your messenger. And you probably are not going to be able to deal with the frequency that I'm going to bring through here. So, fuck it. Oh, I forgot to plug in. I've got a low battery. We're going to put on some pause music. How about that? Let's see. Pause music. What's this? Acoustic daydreaming. I'm going to play that for you one moment and let you look at Fairy Falls if you're watching this on video while I go grab my power cord. But here we are. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay. Take two. Powered up. And I was just streaming in what's going on and what I'm bringing through and why. And as I was getting ready for it this morning, this is a big commitment. It takes a lot of energy for me. And as soon as you open a container, open the spigot, I say, okay, let me pull this back a little because it's making me like reach forward. As soon as you say yes, you say the sacred yes, right? Then the alchemy begins, the effort begins, the momentum begins, and the universe begins to move the furniture around to accommodate it or to fill the vessel that you have created when you said yes to be in one, right? So that happens, and it started happening last night. It's always efficient. I will talk about things in terms of technology a lot because this is a divine technology. I'm seeing these strands right now, right? Because I was thinking about the timelines, multiple timelines and different timelines. And as we split off with every decision that we make, what happens. And I was thinking about it last night and about how I look at things, see things, understand things in terms of technology, because it is like, would we really be able to have multiple timelines and levels and time and things happening at all at once, and it's running in an algorithm without it being divine intelligence, like truly a technology? No. So, um, I don't even know where to begin. So much has happened in the last week. And yesterday, how about yesterday? May Day, May Day. I'm always shown May Day is always a banger energetically. And they've had me do certain things on that day. When I say they, I mean guides, angels, ascended masters, higher self. Did I mention angels? A lot of angels. I work with a lot of angels. So they could be whatever. This is the vessel. This is agreeing to unify with divine and become a conduit. It's just like channels. A channel is a channel because you're tuning into a channel. So I can channel at this point because I've worked on it, because I've been trained, because I understand it, and I continue to hone that knife. I can channel almost anything or anyone. That's when you just empty and allow, when they say the name, in remembrance of someone or whatever, it's true. I have people who will sit across from me in a cafe and they're telling me the story of their brother who passed or their mother. I get a lot of mothers and grandmothers. I'm on the mom channel a lot, but they will arrive. They will drop in as soon as they say the name, because it's like you tuned in their radio channel. That's what we are. We're frequencies. So you can just tune into whatever frequency. Team. Yes. Team. Deb, we're going to talk about team. I had a miraculous, unbelievable happening this weekend with regard to team. And showing me another layer and understanding of who I am and why I came, and who one of my guides is that has been with me my whole life and I didn't know the name of. And I found out this weekend because I met other members of the team and someone who channels that. I'll talk about that real quick, and then I'll drop into the One Divine origin story, which I began on the first round. But this week, what has been done by the team on all levels and all dimensions, and the ground crew here, those of you who are listening, our ground crew, especially if you're this far in, if you've hung on, and maybe someone will find it later exactly when they're supposed to hear it. And most of the statistics, especially on regular social, most people don't watch past a minute and a half. Then there's an average watch of 9 minutes. Those people stuck in. It doesn't even get good until I fully get out of the way and fully begin to pure channel without, and it's not always another energy or entity, person, guide, angel. I get mother wants to take the mic sometimes. That's why I do the Mothership Alliance, was create a space for her and the family, the team, the ground crew, everybody to connect. We just have to make these containers. We have to give our permission to it and be careful, especially at this time. That's why I began with my little evil eye. But, whenever the light is raising, so is the dark. We're here to transmute and transform, not push away, not judge. But it's all coming up right now, and it is so unbelievable, this time we are living in. And we all know who we came for, this time that would be the time of prophecy, the time of ascending within our bodies, the time of unity consciousness, this flipping over into this new age, and not new age in the form of like new age. Don't get me started on that. There's a lot of, misinformation in every realm. That's why you have to connect direct to divine, so that you have the discernment. And we know, we feel it in our bodies. We know what's right for us if we can get any static out of the way of that clear signal, right? And we will be guided and pointed to who we need to go to or where we need to go to when we need to do it. And I've been in training and been following that for years now. And I was shown and reminded that it has been 7 years since I began being kind of trained by my guides. It's like classes, lessons, totally. And it's all gamified. It's a game. And I know how to play the game. And I know how to listen. And I know the signs I'm getting when I'm not listening. They're like, ding, 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 ding. Hey, jumping up and down. I have certain songs and signs and symbols that are like, hey, stop, slow, look around. You're missing something. All of that. And we won't do it perfectly. In fact, we're not supposed to do it perfectly because some of those imperfections are exactly the way it's supposed to come in. And part of the divine encryption. That's the thing that breaks the matrix and also lets the light in, right? So I just allow my foibles, all of it. But at this time, these transmissions want to come through. And I also know the power of the spoken word. Abracadabra, as we speak, we create. And the power of putting it out all on platforms of people that don't know me or not friends of mine on social media, just really putting it out there. And even if one person, the power of your story, your message, your frequency, your energy signature, to put that out there into the water. The water. This is the digital water. Do you know Kuan Yin is known for the water? I only knew a couple years ago and then put together. She was the one guiding me with about the media and the media missions and what was going to come. She was one of my guides. That she's the water and media and communications is under her management department. And I realized that she was the one that was telling me that we would need big waves and that we would be working with the water to make all of the waters holy and working with the media. The media is water. And it affects everything that grows from it. The frequency of it, what it contains. And it made total sense to me. So I totally understand. And that's also what I'm getting about putting the water with this visually and symbolically and what I'm wearing. I take it to the limit. That's my daddy coming through. I receive through music, take it to the limit. The Eagles, freedom. Moving into freedom and flow. Freedom and flow. So in freedom and flow, one of my cohorts, teammates, Shakti Buttatsi, was coming to Mount Shasta this last weekend because she was called by her team. And then she was getting very busy and she was second guessing her call. And they said, nope, get down there. She's just north of here in Bend, Oregon. Another very sacred place and grounds. We've all been stationed where we're supposed to at this time. Trust this divine plan, this divine weaving that is happening. It's so profound and it will move very quickly now. So she got information and got the hit to go to a thing at in town by a woman who channels, her name's Marilyn, her channels a 6-dimensional being called Zazar. And she sent me the information and if I felt to join, and immediately, it was immediate, yes, you're supposed to go. Okay. So this was Friday night. And I showed up and it was just before it was about to begin. It was pretty full. And Shakti was already there, and I could see a few others from the community who I know, who I would call heavy hitters. They're just they have a very powerful field and they know what they're doing. And they were also called. And I was met by Marilyn, who is the channeler of Zazar, who came up to me, and her wife, who was handling registration. Both, there was immediate recognition, and Marilyn came and said that Zazar already said I was coming and that I was on the team. And that's true. And I didn't know the name Zazar. I'd never heard of her channelings or any of it. But as soon as she began speaking, I knew. I knew exactly why I was there. I knew exactly who Zazar was. And it was a profound realization. It was as profound as when I identified grandmother Anna, Yeshua's grandmother, Mary's mother, had been with me my entire life. And when I put together who she was as a guide, as Grandma Anna, my mind was just blown. And it was also at the same time full recognition and knowing, and like, oh, yeah, wow, okay. So we get these things revealed to us in layers, layers of an onion. In fact, that's some of what I'm going to talk about, of what I was shown with Zazar, who I know works for Divine Mother as well, and brings through to speak and honor and embrace your divine feminine that is coming in right now. But I know just from, I was having side conversations with this being while she was channeling this being, because we can work in multidimensional ways, and it was, but it was next level. It was mind-blowing what I understood by putting all of that together. And she was also speaking about her wife and partner, who is part of the team. There are 3 of them, who was on a ship when she was a small child. And Zazar was talking about it when he was channeling. And that's how she recognized there were children. We've been on a mothership. This was my huge, massive, I've actually known for a while that I am galactic. We're starseeds. Many of us are. That's why we came. We are, angel, alien, whatever recipe is right for this time. Zazar even talks about that, about he chose Arcturians, Palladian, and Elven for that combination to come in. And I had been taught by him about how that all works, how we choose different pieces. Like, we are all one. We don't worry about what lifetimes you've had in past or whatever. They're all part of the recipe, as we choose what pieces or what skills we need to be in that embodiment lifetime for whatever mission or learning we're coming in for, or role we're supposed to play. So this will lead into my story of One Divine, and what that is all wrapping up, all of those pieces and parts to come in whole right now for what we're doing right now. But I was shown the Mothership Alliance, which is the baby I birthed, working for and with Divine Mother, is also an alliance of those who are on the team, who have been on the mothership. Many of us were taken for teaching, for programming, and all of these things at multiple times over the course of our journey here. And then our memory was veiled, right? Just like when we come in with other lifetimes, and then it is unveiled in layers like an onion for the times that we need them. We need to know another piece. And right now the unveiling is like, oh my God, how many pieces that put together, how much recognition I had multiple times, and with people's accounting of them being abducted or whatever. I've never spoken of this publicly. And I have other people that I've spoken to with privately who have also shared this experience. And some experiences that you hear from people are maybe malevolent experiences, hybridization or manipulations or tests or things. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about galactic team and family and training for this time, for what's happening at this time. This team of light, this family of light who has been prepared meticulously, divinely guided, programmed, readied to come and embody and show what embodied ascension looks like, what embodying the light and modeling and walk this way, right? Yeshua, when he said, follow me, didn't mean like, go behind me and like, follow me. Like, follow me, like, do this. It works. This is how you can command your energy. This is how you can, you give and you lead with love and all of these things that, don't start a church. Face palm, right? But we are that. We are to embody being our own personal Jesus and show others how it's done. We are fractal. That's why he came, so that he could ignite that DNA flame within humanity that had been dampened and darkened, and begin the dominoes being tipped. I'm being shown the dominoes all being tipped for 2,000 years up to this time, when those seeds are popping now within us. And we are experiencing spiritual gifts, hearing, knowing all of this because those seeds were ignited and have had a chance to integrate and everything play out. And the energy was right for and ripe for all of this. And the more layers of this onion that are revealed, the more my mind is just blown. And what happened this weekend and the recognition with the family who had been with me, for the guide that had been with me, one of the many guides I have, but this is a big one. And what we're being called to do. Maryland has a center. Their home is the base of it on the East Coast. I think Maine, New York, upstate New York, or Maine. Sorry, I don't remember. I'm going to have her on this podcast so she can tell that whole story. But she had the same directive to hold the frequency 5D on Earth, in a place and space where people could come to be healed and to meet together and receive channelings and transmissions, and to create that heaven on earth and anchor it there. I think they have 50 acres, and I am to weave with them, that we weave this mothership, divine, angelic, galactic family together and do this work on a greater scale, fractaling. And that's what my call was, to create a container for that, for us to all to be able to meet and communicate and also move out on mission. So we then, Saturday, I have been weaving, speaking of weaving, with the luminaries. Another big piece of my story is the Essenes, school Isis, Magdalens, Blue Rose orders, Templar. These orders are all serving the divine feminine. We have many of us come into many of these orders and secret orders, many of which got co-opted and corrupted. But either way, we have all come and done this. Now we're being called to have the order of orders in unity, where we are transcending and uniting and just following the pulse of divine, rather than any rules or orders, and knowing what to do and guiding each other. Many of our new teachings are going to just be frequency, sound, symbols, and we will understand. Our systems will understand. Our onboard computer will just understand. And I have a friend who, it's just coming to mind, Dan, Dan's party on Instagram, and we've done some work here on the ground in Mount Shasta is where I met him, but he's just begun giving broadcasts of sound frequencies. And he's just doing it every day. And this is like his second or third day. And I'm listening to it, and they're powerful. But we're being called to broadcast our signal, broadcast our frequency now. And I realized when I was to tell Marilyn and understand like who I am and what I'm doing, the broadcast that I gave last Thursday, that was pushed and prompted by Zazar, my guide, in that particular moment. And why I thought I was going to put it off until I got here, until I moved locations. And it was like, nope, you got to go on the 24th. You got to do this, or you got to do your first one. I'm like, okay. So I did it. And time check 1:37. Haven't even got to the story. So I'm going to move into that next, but it's important that we understand how we are being unified now in our guidance, and how I mentioned Shakti Bhutatsi, she and I have gotten so many things in the moment very quick, like get rose water, whatever, go to Pluto's cave, etc., which is what we did on Saturday after I was weaving with Saffron Tara and the luminaries, which is again the family of light, the rose orders, all of it. The grandmothers who are going to begin what I'm talking about with One Divine was behind the push, were the grandmothers. And she said it all, the luminaries container all began with the grandmothers. Grandmothers. There are a gathering of mothers who are guiding us at this time, who are uniting us at this time, who are so powerful. And there are many of us who have heard their call, who have heard the mother's call, and are here to do this, who are here to gather the family and take our spots and take our thrones, to bring heaven to earth, to bring these frequencies here. And Marilyn and her crew were also guided to Pluto's cave. They came just after us, and they heard us toning and oming. They didn't know where it was coming from, and it was us on the other end of the cave. They also came. We did not communicate. We did not coordinate. We were all just guided to go, and this happens all the time. There was big work to be done there, and it followed the big work that we did with a global group in the luminaries container. It is happening very quickly now. Different groups will be doing different things, and then they'll be cross-pollinating. And we don't even realize what is happening on so many levels. I was shown during meditation when I went back with the Zazar group on Sunday, and we all boarded a mothership, and we all met our counterparts in Telos, which is where the Lemurians went inside the mountain here in Mount Shasta. Part of the reason I'm here. We are preparing a world for disclosure, and that disclosure is us. Some of who I am disclosing is a galactic walk-in. This is disclosure, and Zazar spoke this. Zazar transmission on Friday was the duplicate, because it was much of that information of a lot of the information that I brought through on Thursday, and that I was to give it to Marilyn, and she would know and understand who I am and where I fit and how we were to work together. This is miraculous what is happening right now. And that is some of the work that I do with the people that I do it with, who are also receiving the same, because it's team. This is the team. And I've been shown for many years, that's the words that Zazar uses, that Spirit uses, that other guides use, team. This is the team. And I've been shown, like in Hollywood and whatever, on the streets, in the grocery store, they're on the team, they're on the team, they're on the team. I know who's on the team. And sometimes they may look like somebody who's doing something you don't like or doing something actually horrific. But I know they're on the team. They're playing maybe a dark angel, dark agent role to make a certain thing happen, or maybe to push you enough so that you lose your shit because you needed to stop doing whatever loop you were running. We all have our roles, but it's all happening, and it is unbelievable. And it was super fun when I took the journey, the guided journey, and went to the mothership. I was talking to multiple beings in multiple conversations, and we were having so much fun. It was like, isn't this fun? And it was fun and funny. So that's another thing that all of the high beings that I've ever dealt with, people are fun and funny. And I love that, because if this isn't fun, we're not doing it. We came here to have some fun along with the not fun parts. It makes the not fun parts a lot more fun when we can have fun together. So, and play it like a game, because that's part of the programming and part of the divine encryption that you got to beat, because you have eyes to see and ears to hear and bodies to feel, and you know where to go, and you play this game and you get to the next level, then you get an upgrade, then you get a new board, and this is how we do it. And that's why I'm doing this, because I was guided to way outside my comfort zone, way the fuck outside my comfort zone. But I get paid in miracles. I know that. I'm well versed on it. So I go past my comfort zone. I close my eyes and I jump in and I just let her rip. And I hope that gives some of you the courage to do the same thing, because you get paid in miracles. So I only have about 15 minutes left. Maybe this is going to be interstitial, my story. And I don't actually want to go like that deep into it about the rebirth. If I don't finish it, maybe it's not supposed to be talked, but that's what wanted to come through today. What is happening? I'm supposed to mention what is happening on these college campuses, including the college campus where my daughter lives in UCLA and goes to school, is raising this frequency for freedom. There are many who will tell you, don't look, don't, you're adding to the fear. What if nobody did and stopped what is happening? That's a whole other show. But you don't have to go into it or open your eyes or bear witness with fear or hatred or judgment. Many of us are meant to step into these situations and bear witness, to transmute, to light up the crowds, to change the directive, to say no and have a boundary so that it changes a timeline to a time where we don't have war. And these children will not be stopped. The Gen X generation, my generation in particular, I was shown a whole thing about the generations last night and what we went through and what we have developed, including the internet, and what we did to prepare, the wounds that we cleared, also bearing the children, the millennial, but especially the Gen Z. They're practically unemployable. The teachers don't know what to do with them. What they're going to do, the frequency they're going to bring through their music, through their healings, through their everything, through their resistance to what is not divine, what is not okay. And we must support them. There will be gnashing and wailing and gnashing of teeth, as they say, as those who want to continue to commit atrocity or take all of the money and hold on to it are losing their posts of power, are losing their masks of because everybody can see the truth now. Everybody can see, everybody can know, every information can be found, everything can be documented. It's over. So there's going to be a little as that goes down, but we got to help. We got to help clean up. We got to help transmute. We got to help by doing our own peace and our own shadow work. I don't think I'm going to tell this one divine story. Maybe I'll just write it, leave it. Um, it's 1:46. What I was going to go into was the grandmother. So I'll just talk about the grandmothers and how it started in Santa Fe. Maybe I'll tell it in pieces and those who can pull it together. This is how spirit does it with me. I get a little piece, and a little piece, and a little piece, and a little piece, and then it's my job to put it together. If I care, if I want to get it. And then when I do, I get the goodies. I get the angel cookies. So I was in Santa Fe with staying in the same guest house on incredibly powerful, beautiful lands, and a compound that my friend Clara has. And she called it the mothership. Her community calls it the mothership. And she showed me a picture of it when we met in Egypt. And we were on the boat on the Nile. And she learned about the Mothership Alliance. And I ended up living there for a couple of months in 2022. I went back. I've gone back 2 other times. One time for a grandmother's gathering with some of the 13 indigenous grandmothers before during the eclipse last October, Friday the 13th, Templar Takedown Day. That went down with real grandmothers. But the year before, what went down with the etheric grandmothers with me in the guest house when everybody was off the lands was that they came to me and showed me a vision and showed me about changing my name and shaving my head. When I say showed me, I get pictures or a little video that's like maybe a flash from the future and I see it all. And when I got that, I knew that I was supposed to hold ceremony and that this was coming for many days before I was there tending to the land while everybody was gone and the animals there, and it was late. And I got a call to meet with one of my other mothership members who walks with the ancestors, who brings them through. There's such an ancestor presence in Santa Fe and a grandmother presence. It is no wonder that the grandmothers gathered there on that land. It already holds grandmother energy. And I've done a lot with the grandmothers there. It's really profound and really beautiful and really fun. They're fun too, as are the grandmothers who came in the flesh for their sacred reciprocity gathering with Florida Mayo. But the grandmothers showed me I was doing a lineage healing, was my understanding, and it was all coming, and I was being shown, and I was feeling it, and I was seeing it. And all the way down to Santa Fe, from Salt Lake City through Zion National Park and everything on my way to Santa Fe, I kept being shown a crib, and a cradle. And I was trying to figure out if it was like land where there's a cradle. There is a cradle land by Salt Lake City, but it wasn't that. And I always know how the signs are. I call it tag it and bag it. I tag it and bag it. Okay, noted, it's repeated. But I haven't solved the puzzle yet. So the sign will keep coming until it's solved. And then once it's solved, it doesn't show anymore. And there were like these wicker kind of half round couches that I was guided to push together. And I pushed them together to get in it. And I was stripped of clothing and only had my fuzzy white fur blanket. And I was told to then I got told, said, get in the crib. And I turned around and I was like, oh my God, that's the crib. And it looked like a crib for a grown-up, which I was, and I got in it. And I had my mother Mary's ashes with me. My father was still alive at the time. And I had an altar, candles burning, and I wrapped myself like a baby in a crib, and I was held by the grandmothers. And I sobbed and I wept, and I was taken through every level from my nuclear family of me and my former spouse and my children to my family with my father and mother and my two sisters, up until the families above and above and above. All the way back, I was shown, and I wept and I wept and I cleansed for all of it, and I was held by the grandmothers as I did it. And I was shown the ways that the lineage was damaged, that the family was damaged through addiction and mental health and all of these aberrations and what is divine, and how that damaged the family, which is the core strength that we have, that we are so strong as a united, healthy families. And this is what we are to build again. And so I participated. There was a massive windstorm, which then erupted into the fires that engulfed and surrounded Santa Fe for almost the entirety of the time that I was there in 2022. And it all started that weekend. And I ended up having to go up to the houses to calm the animals, because it was all storming and happening at that time. And that was the weekend where I was shown about changing my name and shaving my head. And it pushed every single button that I had of discomfort and things that perhaps I had judged in the past myself, about giving any fucks away about what I looked like, who I was to anybody, whether anybody thought I was crazy. I was to go all in. I wasn't quite ready to receive until I got to Shasta One Divine, that dropped in, and what dropped in and how it dropped in. But that was where it began, with the grandmothers. And I didn't know how it would change my life, would change the people in my life, would open up doorways that I was supposed to go down, and close doorways that I was not supposed to be in. So I'm feeling to wrap this up. That's all of the story I'm going to give, where it began in Santa Fe with the grandmothers. And I will eventually just write the whole story, because what happens from there, the next thing that happened, to go to Mount Shasta, as I was closing my time in Santa Fe and knew that I was going to Shasta. I thought I was going just for summer solstice. I was going to go for a month. And I got in the shower. I was in Santa Fe. It was one of my last days. I was packing up, and I was just going to Shasta and following the call without knowing where I was going to land. I hadn't quite nailed down the place or anything. And I got in the shower and I said a prayer, and I prayed, okay, I'm down to go with this program. I'm going with this program, and I know I'm going to Shasta, but please help me find a place. I would love like a little house that I had to myself now, after I've been sharing a house, and just be in my space to get done what I need to get done with my work. And it wasn't 4 hours later when my friend Miraya Divina texted me and said, "Is Shasta calling?" Because she had her little house available for sublet, because she was watching someone else's house outside of San Francisco. 4 hours for manifestation of exactly what I had prayed for, leading me there where I was supposed to be, at her house. This is the same little house that Lori Ladd lived in Mount Shasta. It's a spot. And what happened there will be the next story. I guess I'm going to have to tell it in pieces, because whatever came through that wanted to come through before was what wanted to come through. And I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm not going to go longer than an hour. I have 5 minutes. I will just wrap that up by saying that I ended up going through San Francisco on 6/6 on the way back, and leaving a little something off the bridge, and got together with another team member in San Francisco who I had never met, Lady Shawn, who walked out into the middle of the bridge with me and left some Mother Mary's ashes. I left a crystal egg, kerplunk. All of this happened in divine timing. Most of the instructions we don't get until maybe 24 hours before. Sometimes I get them 10 minutes before. But the rewards I get. It's like Pavlov's dog that they leave the crumbs. And the rewards I get for following instruction and doing this work are beyond imagination. And those are the words that came. Have full faith, and you will see miracles beyond comprehension. And I have, and I'm continuing to. And I'm going to share the rest of that story next time. Speaking of next time, Alan Green is going to be my guest. And he is currently stationed in Stratford upon Avon. Those of you who know Alan Green, many of my followers do, because it's kind of the same fam. But those who don't, he has a show on Gaia called Decoding Shakespeare Decoded. And you can look that up. Google that. Unbelievable. Come next week. You can hear a little bit about it. We're going to talk about his receiving modality. That's what I want. This show is a lot about, and whatever comes through. But he's in Stratford upon Avon doing a major prayer vigil there. And it's big. It's very big. He's not alone there either. And we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about how he receives and how his interactions with ships and whatnot. And who knows what else. It's going to be a great conversation. It's going to be a lot of fun. And if you actually listened to this and hung on, bless up. Those out there who I don't know yet, hello. Thank you for joining me. I hope this made sense. I'll listen to it again, because also there are things in there for me that will play out in the next scenes of this incredible play we're playing. I'm sending out so much love. I want to drop in for this just last moment to wrap it up like a sacred circle. I'm being shown that there will be little messages that I'm supposed to bring through just as reels or messages. And an encouragement for any of you out there who are maybe feeling that you are to broadcast your signal, share your art, your music, your messages that are coming through. Whatever it is, perhaps you're being prompted to bring it forth now. Or to bring big waves for those awakening, support, energetic, rolling out. May it encourage you to bring yourself fully forward at this time, because we need you, like, without any shade on your light. I'm seeing the shade coming off. Lampshades of Fire, another good song. That's what I'm just seeing in vision. It's like the lampshade coming off of your light. So let's just drop in here and be together for the closing. If you'd like to join me. I'm being guided to grab the light and hold on to the light and give that message to hold on to the light. Give that message to follow the light. Quite literally, when I was in Egypt the second time, I was kept being shown, they were giving me the lessons of follow the light. And I would be led by the light to places I needed to go, hieroglyphs I needed to see, people who were on the team that I was supposed to meet would be like literally lit up. Hold on to the light. Follow the light. It will lead you. Team on the ground, crew, team above, angels, aliens, elementals. Mother, Father, God, thank you, thank you, thank you for this family, for this crew, for this team to do this with, to share this with. It is done. It is done. It is done. Thank you. Aho. Over and out. One Divine at your service.